If you want to understand how our words create our limiting beliefs and how we can change them, then the following video from my trusted Pathway to Purpose blueprint is for you. Check it out. Okay, so welcome back, and in this video we're going to be talking about limiting beliefs. Okay, so this is a very big topic, yet the video here will be relatively short. I mean, there are so many different limiting beliefs that we have about ourselves that can stop us progressing forward that I could speak for many days on this subject. You know, I can speak for 1 or 2 hours alone on each limiting belief. And, you know, if you want some more information regarding limiting beliefs, look on my YouTube channel, look in the Facebook group. If you're not part of it, do join. I'm sure there'll be a button somewhere on this page. Now, limiting beliefs, really, we can think of this as a negative view of reality, which we'll actually find when we really shine a light on this and take a closer look is none of it is real. It's all concocted by ourselves, by our ego. And even though we think of limiting beliefs as being things that are negative, which I guess is the first order way of looking at this, really any belief, even if you think that is a good and positive one, isn't actually real. It isn't the truth. It's basically your idea. So, you know, something that you believe passionately in, maybe you believe in the policies of a particular political party or something like that, you know, or a certain philosophy, you feel really strongly about it. I believe that, or you believe in a particular religion or whatever it is. That's just your belief. What is actually a belief? A belief is just a collection of ideas which you like. You know, they're a collection of thoughts, you bunch them together, and then you say, okay, that's reality, that's real for me, that'll be planted in the subconscious, and then that's you, that's the construct of you. It's what our ego creates, this persona of something that actually we're really not. Now, you may be listening to this and thinking, well, hang on a minute, Rob, you know, well, I do believe in this, and this is right, and this is wrong. Is it really? Why is it? Who says what you believe, whether you think it's good or not, is real, is right, is wrong? Do these things even exist? Well, it's up to you to go and find these things out. Don't take my word for it. But just to make you aware that, you know, whatever beliefs are, whether you think of them as, you know, limiting beliefs, which, as I say, we often think as being negative or not, do start to question your own beliefs and what are the things that you really think, that you really feel passionate about, that, again, you're usually conditioned into. Again, where are these conversations coming from? Are they coming from you now, or are they conversations and ideas from someone who is younger? Have a look at this. So, I mean, for me personally, when you get really deep into this work, and we're not going to go this deep into it right here, but the opposite to a limiting belief is not a positive belief, but it's no belief at all. You know, when you can really come into a space where you don't have a belief about anything, that means that anything is possible, right? Absolutely anything. Now, you might think I'm crazy, but, you know, I haven't let go of all of my old beliefs, all of my old ideas, that's for sure, but almost all of them. And it's such a liberating, creative space to be in. So first of all, just a little exercise here, so you can stop the video in a minute, and I just want you to write down some of your beliefs. Maybe write down 10 beliefs, maybe going towards the negative side, like I am this, I am that, but maybe some beliefs about, you know, again, maybe that example that I gave there, you know, what you believe in, maybe about a political party or some kind of philosophy that you really believe in it. So I need to write these down, and I want you to really look at it and truthfully say, Are those statements true? And all of them, not just the negative ones that you have about yourself, but maybe the ones that you believe in and you think are true. Are they really true? If someone else out there has the opposite understanding and the opposite belief, are they wrong and you're right? Now, that's a really difficult exercise for you to do, because you say, well, of course I'm right. But that's your way of protecting yourself, who you think you are, this construct of who you think you are, which you're not. You're something else, you're something higher. There's something else within you that sometimes we don't see. So just write those down, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so hopefully you wrote those down, and I'm hoping that you got into a position where you could really start to honestly understand that these aren't real objective truths. They are your subjective understanding, and particularly what we call limiting beliefs, these negative things that we think about ourselves or others. You know, hopefully you can see that these come mainly from our conditioning from the past, right? As we've talked about before in things like Age of Conversations and the autopilot video, you know, we really start to understand that we operate entirely almost from our subconscious. We're not choosing anything, we're just deciding things based on our conditioning. And this is really problematic, because if we have limiting beliefs about ourselves, particularly the worst ones, which are, you know, I am something, so I am not confident, I am not good enough, you know, things like that. These are really, really damaging. And also, you know, when we say I am, so for instance, if you say I am angry, are you really anger? Now, it can feel like that sometimes. You can almost become anger or become fear or some kind of emotion. But are you that really? Are you not just feeling angry or feeling fear? In which case, we can disassociate from that, and actually, particularly with feelings, we can let those go by. Feelings do come, emotions do come, and they do go. So we never really want to be associating with either emotions or even worse still, belief systems, limiting beliefs. I am something that is negative is a real killer, because we're almost saying that that's it. I've decided that that is me, and therefore we're not putting ourselves into a position where we can make any kind of choice. Now, even though this is not to do with limiting beliefs, I just want you to show you or share with you a story. I can't remember where I got this from, which coach of mine, been coached by 2 or 3 different people, but I got it from one of them. And it just shows you how belief systems can become ingrained in us. And this is just kind of like a ridiculous example. So there's this guy, and he sat down and he's having Sunday lunch, and he's just really puzzled at why his wife cuts off a third of the piece of meat that she's cooking for their dinner. Every Sunday she does this. It's like, you know, they like roast beef, and they have this roast beef, and she cuts off about a third of the meat, puts it in the tin, in the roasting tin, puts it in the oven with all the other vegetables and everything, and that's how they have their Sunday dinner. And the guy's a little kind of perplexed about this. So the next time he's round at his in-laws, he's round at his wife's mother's, and he talks to his wife's mother, and he says, what's all this cutting off the meat business? And the mother says, well, that's how you cut meat. That's how you cook meat, sorry. You know, you cut off about a third of the meat, you put it in the tin, and that's how you cook meat. You know, what's wrong with that? And his wife thinks exactly the same thing. That's how you cook meat, right? And he's thinking, there's something not quite right about this. And so he goes to the grandmother of his wife, and they're round at their house sometime, and he says, what's all this about, you know, cutting off the meat, to, you know, cutting off a third of the meat to cook it? What is that all about? And she said, they do what? And he said, yeah, they cut off a third of the meat before they cook it. Both your daughter and your granddaughter do this. He's saying, ah, okay, yeah, many years ago, I had this piece of beef that I cooked, and it was huge. It was too big for the tin that I was cooking it in. So I had to cut about a third of it off. I actually didn't even throw that away. I put it in the fridge, but I cut a third of that off so it would fit in the roasting tin. And therefore then she could cook it in the oven. Now what had happened was that her daughter had then seen that, thought that's the way of doing things, and then her daughter, his wife, had seen that her mother had been doing that every week, and then she just thought that's the normal way of cooking meat. Now this is kind of a stupid example, but do you see how we can get conditioned by things that we see? These aren't our ideas, they're not our beliefs. They're things that just come to us through things we've been shown, things we've been told, things that have been said. And this actually goes for things like limiting beliefs as well, because, you know, things like I'm not good enough and all of these real basic and very damaging limiting beliefs that we have about ourselves often come from things that have happened to us, you know, in our past. And as I say, the I am limiting beliefs are the worst. So what can we do with these? Well, the first thing is, hopefully through going through these videos, we're starting to identify things. We're going to start to look at some of our limiting beliefs, and I want you to list more and more of them. And as I say, do look on my YouTube channel, look in the Facebook group, because there'll be a lot more talking about limiting beliefs. Then we're going to look at, you know, what do you really believe? As I've just shown you, you know, are these really true? Are they truths? Are they universal truths? Or are they your opinion? Now, if you come to the point where they are, you see that they are your opinion, can you change your opinion? Well, I think we can change our opinions. We do that very often, right? We're often a different person from one day to the next. If you do actually say, no, I'm sorry, but this is a universal truth, then we've got a problem. But you need to look at everything. And as I say, any single belief, positive or negative, is of your own making. You choose those thoughts, you bundle them together, and that becomes your reality. We are, and the brain is, a reason-making machine. A reason and meaning-making machine. That's all it does. It just acquires information. It's got so much information to deal with, and it makes meaning and it makes reasons out of them. We put those together and that just becomes our reality. Now, anything that you're struggling with at the moment will have some kind of limiting belief behind it. And there are so many limiting beliefs, right? There is, you know, fear of failure, fear of success, fear of judgment, you know, saying things like, I can't afford it, I'll do it later. You know, I'm feeling comfortable, I don't really need to make a change, I'm not good enough, I don't have the skills, I don't have the ability, I don't have the time, is a big one, to do something different. I'm not that kind of person, you know, I'm this kind of person, I'm that kind of personality. And you know, the list is endless, and you know, I can't go into all of these here. As I say, I could talk for days and days. You can find this information elsewhere in my content. Maybe I can just offer one of them for you here and just help you to understand how we can start to tackle these different things. So fear of failure, for instance. Well, first of all, what does actually failure mean to you? That's the first thing to look at, because we can, you know, recontextualize that, we can reframe that. Because is failure just that you try to do something and then it doesn't work, and then so you're going to have to do something else? Do you think that's how successful people operate? Do you think that they're successful like that? Or do you think that they actually see failure as just experiences that they go through to learn how to become a better person, to master their craft? You know, you tell anyone who's successful in business, for instance, and they'll tell you they've failed countless times before they've, you know, made success. Look at Edison and the light bulb. You know, I think he made over 1,000 different versions of the filament before the light bulb worked. Did he fail? No, he was just learning how to get to the point where he succeeded. So first of all, we can have a different relationship with failure and realize that actually what we call failing forward, you know, making mistakes and learning from them, is beautiful, is a great thing. And also, you know, if you're failing at something, quite often this comes down to other limiting beliefs, like, you know, we fear judgment from other people, we've tried something new and we're going to fail. What's the worst case scenario that could actually happen if you failed? So for instance, if you failed getting up in stage and talking in front of people, maybe you got things a bit wrong and you got a bit muddled. Would you feel embarrassed? Yes. Would you die? I don't think so. Probably not. I doubt you'd have a heart attack. Can you actually deal with the worst case scenario? Could you go to someone who might say, well, I told you so, and say, well, yeah, you know, it hasn't quite worked out here, but, you know, I'm going to keep on trying. If you can deal with the worst case scenario, actually visualize that, realize that you're not going to die, that you can actually deal with the worst case scenario, then you can put that to bed. If you can deal with a worst case scenario, that's one way of starting to address this fear of failure, because once you've put that to bed, you realize that it's not as bad as you're actually thinking and feeling at that time. Then when you put that to bed, you can get on with actually looking at the best case scenario. Okay, so what's the best case scenario? You work out what that is. You look at what goals you need to put in place, what activities you need to put in place to reach the best case scenario. And then you just keep doing that until you succeed. The only way that you can actually fail is by giving up when you're trying something new. Or you die trying, right? One of the two. But if you keep going, you keep going and keep going and keep going, you cannot fail. You will succeed in the end. You will get there if you put in the effort. It's as simple as that. And anyone who's successful will tell you that. Now, here's the one thing that actually comes up, and the most damaging thing that comes up within any limiting belief is when you have that limiting belief. So let's say it's a fear of failure, and then you literally say the words to yourself, I cannot do this. So let's say you want to be, I don't know, a speaker. So for me, yes, I want to do speaking as well as part of my business as well now. So I want to get out on stage at my own live events. Now, I do have fears, and there are resistances against going forward with this, but I know that I will do it. But I'm not in a position where I'm saying to myself, I cannot do it or I can't do it, because I know how damaging that can be. But also, I actually know that there's no such thing as can and can't. There's actually only will and won't. I know that if I say to myself I can't do something, it just means that I'm not willing to do what it takes to achieve what I want to achieve. It's as simple as that. I'd like you to look at that. Look at anything in your life where you just think, do you know what? I'd like to do that, but I just can't. Understand that you actually can do that if you want. It's just a will or won't situation. Understand that you won't do that thing. There is no can't. Don't use that in your language. Take it out of your language right now. Just say, at the moment, I'm not willing to do that. Here's the thing about that. If you say, I can't do something, it's final. It's a decision you've made. There's nothing more that you can do. Your subconscious isn't going to understand that. It's just going to go, okay, no, there's nothing that we can do here. If you admit that you won't do something, you put yourself at a position of choice. Doesn't mean that you don't have doubts about being able to do something. Doubts are fine. Doubts we can work with. You know, these are limiting beliefs. We can work with them. We can work with a doubt. If we're in a position of choice, we can make a choice at some point. If you say, I can't, you have decided, and it's final and it's over. You know, limiting beliefs, they're all mind stuff. It's all in the mind. It's all a figment of your imagination. That's all that fear is. And we'll actually look at that, not in the next episode, but the one after, when we're actually going to look at resistance. We're going to have to actually see that resistance is what is real. That is the feeling. That is what's leading us to inaction or doing the wrong action. Fear itself is all imaginary. It's all mind stuff. So we can deal with that. And it was Einstein that said, you know, when you and I think I've said this before, and I'll say it again, there are many things that I've said before and I will say again, but you know, when you change the way that you look at things, the things that you look at change. And then he went on to say something like, you know, do you want to choose to be in a loving or a hostile world? You know, you have the power of choice to completely change your reality around these things. And the reason that we're going through all this again, as I've said before, is when we can get out of our head, we can get out of these fears, we can start to step into them, we can start to do some of the work which I discussed in the previous episode. We get more into a heart-centered space, which is where we're able to do the things that we truly want to do. Not only that, but first of all, be able to actually find what we truly want to do, because with all this mind chatter going on, we'll never really be in touch with what we truly want from our higher self. Okay, so over the next couple of videos, we're going to look a little bit more about where you are at the moment with this. You know, why are you here? To make you understand that the fact that you're here and you're wanting to do this personal development work means something. It means that you're looking for something else. It means that something within you is trying to reach out. It means that you're expanding more and you're going to reach resistance. And I'm going to show you that that's actually a good thing. All of these fears, all of these things that are coming up for you are beautiful. They're gold, because it's going to help you to understand how to break through to the next level. I'll see you in the next video. So if you want to see more videos like this and truly understand how this all fits into finding your life's purpose and implementing it, then you can check out my course by that very same title on Udemy by clicking on the link in the description below. I will take you from the conception of a new life to a state of being where you will create exactly the life you want and understand how to get paid for it. So click the link in the description below if that sounds like something you'd like to pursue. I'll see you soon.